My wife said she was going on a date with a coworker after 18 years of marriage. I told her, if you walk out that door, everything will change. She laughed, but she was right. Everything did, and I never thought the end of my marriage would begin over a bowl of reheated pasta and a half-empty bottle of cheap red wine. We'd been married 18 years. Not perfect years, no marriage is, but stable. Predictable in a comforting way. We had a teenage son, a mortgage, a routine. She, Anna, was the organized one. I was the calm one. We balanced each other, or at least I thought we did. That night, she came home late from work again. She'd been working longer hours for months, something about a new client and team dinners. I didn't think much of it. She'd always been ambitious, promotion-chasing, schedule-driven, always carrying two phones like her life depended on staying connected. She dropped her bag on the counter, poured herself a glass of wine, and said, as casually as if she were talking about the weather, "I'm going on a date tomorrow night." At first, I thought she was joking. I even laughed. A date? She didn't smile. With a coworker, she said. His name's Evan. We've gotten close. I need to see where things stand. I remember staring at her, waiting for her to laugh, to say it was some strange social experiment or HR workshop gone wrong. But she didn't. She just sipped her wine, her eyes steady, as if she'd rehearsed the line 100 times. "Anna," I said quietly, "you're married." "I know," she replied, "but I need to figure out what I want. I feel like I've been living on autopilot." It was surreal. The way she said it, without emotion, without guilt, was worse than any screaming match. It was surgical, like she'd already separated herself from me emotionally, and this was just the formal announcement. I took a breath, leaned forward, and said the only thing I could think of, "If you walk out that door, everything will change." She looked at me, a flicker of something, fear, annoyance, crossing her face. "You're being dramatic," she said, shaking her head. "It's just dinner." "It's a date," I corrected. "It's closure," she insisted. "For me." Then she left the room. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my office, lights off, the glow of my computer screen reflecting off old photos, vacations, birthdays, her smile before she started hiding it behind filters and polished LinkedIn posts. Something in me snapped into focus. She thought she was walking out to test our marriage, to see if I'd chase her. But I wasn't going to, because this wasn't about jealousy or control. It was about respect, and the second she treated our vows like a social experiment, she lost mine. So while she slept, I started taking screenshots, her messages to Evan, which she hadn't even bothered to hide properly. They were synced to our shared iCloud. "Can't wait for tomorrow night. Feels like I've known you longer than I really have. He won't even notice I'm gone." He never does. There were dozens. Some flirtatious, some intimate. Some that crossed every line a married person should never approach. I didn't react right away. Instead, I documented. Quietly, methodically. Messages, timestamps, work emails sent after hours from their company accounts. I created a folder, backed it all up. Because if she was going to blow up our life, I was going to make sure the debris landed where it belonged. The next evening, she left early. Perfume she hadn't worn in years. Lipstick. A new dress. She didn't look like my wife. She looked like someone auditioning for freedom. I didn't stop her. I just said, "Drive safe." She looked at me like I'd failed some test. Maybe she wanted a fight. Maybe she wanted guilt. Instead, I gave her indifference. When the door closed, I opened my laptop. I already knew where they were going. She'd texted him the name of the restaurant earlier that day. While she was sipping wine across from her coworker, I was on the phone with a lawyer. I told him everything, calmly, clearly, with evidence in hand. He listened, took notes, then said quietly, "You're doing the right thing by staying composed. Document everything. Don't confront her yet. We'll file the moment she crosses the line physically." I thanked him and hung up. Around midnight, I heard the garage door. She came in quietly, heels in her hand. "Did you have fun?" I asked from the couch. She froze. "It wasn't what you think," she said quickly. "Then what was it?" "Just talking. Just closure." Her phone buzzed in her purse. She flinched. I didn't ask who it was. I didn't need to. "I hope you found it," I said simply, and went upstairs. She stood in the hallway, stunned, like she expected me to explode. But I didn't, because anger gives them power. Silence gives them reflection. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. She acted normal, making breakfast, chatting about work, pretending like nothing had changed. But her eyes gave her away. Every time she looked at me, she seemed to be trying to read whether I knew. I did, and she was about to find out how much. Because the real date hadn't been between her and Evan. It had been between her arrogance and my patience. And one of them was about to lose. The shift started quietly. For 3 days after her date, Anna walked on eggshells. She tried to reestablish some fake sense of normalcy, texting me midday like she used to, leaving notes on the counter, even cooking dinner again. It felt staged, like watching a rerun of a marriage that had already died off-screen. Meanwhile, I continued documenting. I wasn't trying to ruin her life. I was protecting mine. Every message between her and Evan, every late-night text, every accidental work email went into the folder. 2 days later, I noticed something new. A notification popped up on our shared tablet in the kitchen. Her Google Calendar reminder. Evan, lunch at the Glass House, noon. Same place they'd had their date. She didn't even bother to hide it this time. That was when I realized something crucial. Anna wasn't just cheating. She was testing me. She wanted to see if I'd care enough to fight for her. But love doesn't mean babysitting someone's moral collapse. So, I didn't stop her. I just made sure the story she was writing had accurate documentation. That day, while she was at lunch, I met with my lawyer in person. We went through everything: screenshots, chat logs, timestamps, the shared iCloud backups. He organized them into a timeline, printed it, then looked me straight in the eye and said, "You could file for divorce on grounds of infidelity and emotional abandonment. Given the proof, custody would likely be yours." I nodded. "I don't want to humiliate her," I said. "I just want out, with my son safe and my dignity intact." He smiled faintly, then let her do the humiliating part herself. That evening, I got home early. She was in the kitchen, typing something on her phone, wearing the same smile she used to wear before date nights with me. She looked up, startled. "You're home early." "I wanted to talk," I said calmly. I could see her posture stiffen, her mind spinning. "About what?" "About us," I said, "and where things stand." She hesitated. "Mark, if this is about the other night, I told you it wasn't." I cut her off gently. "I know where you were. I know who you were with. And I know this wasn't the first time." Her face drained of color. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just slid a flash drive across the counter. "All the proof is on there. I've already spoken to an attorney." She didn't touch it, just stared at it like it was radioactive. You went through my phone?" "No," I said evenly. "You synced your devices. You made it easy." Her voice trembled. "You're invading my privacy." I almost laughed. "Your privacy ended the moment you started lying to the person who shared a home, a child, and half his life with you." Silence. Then she whispered, "You don't understand. I just needed to feel something again." There it was, the justification I'd been waiting for. The same script cheaters have been reading since forever. I didn't respond. I just said, "Pack a bag. I want you out tonight." Her shock was almost childlike. "You can't just, this is our house." "No," I said quietly. "It was our house. Until you decided to build a second life inside it." She didn't move. She kept saying I was overreacting, that she hadn't technically done anything wrong. So I showed her the printout, the text from Evan, the ones where she said she wanted to wake up next to him for real someday. Her hands started to shake. "You're not serious," she whispered. "I'm done," I said. "I'll file Monday morning. You'll get your share of the assets. But that's it. I won't destroy you, but I won't save you either." That's when she broke. Tears, apologies, all of it. She begged me to reconsider. Said it was just a mistake, that she'd end it with him immediately. But there's a point where "I'm sorry" becomes noise. When she finally left that night, she didn't go to a friend's or her parents'. She went to Evan's. And that's where the collapse really began. Because, as it turned out, Evan wasn't exactly single. His wife, yes, wife, called me 2 days later after finding the messages on his phone. She was calm, almost eerily so. "I just wanted to let you know," she said. "You're not the only one she lied to." We ended up talking for almost an hour. She was kind, rational, heartbroken. She said she planned to leave him too. But what she told me next hit me harder than anything Anna had done. Evan had recorded parts of their conversations, private ones, on his phone. Apparently, he'd been bragging to his friends about hooking up with the boss's wife. When his wife discovered the files, she forwarded them to HR. Within days, both he and Anna were suspended pending investigation. When Anna showed up at my doorstep again, 2 weeks later, she looked like a ghost. She said, "You ruined my life." I looked her dead in the eyes and said, "No, Anna. You just filmed the crash and blamed the road." She started crying again, begging for a second chance. But it wasn't about forgiveness anymore. It was about self-preservation. I told her to talk to her lawyer, not me. And as she walked away, I finally felt something I hadn't felt in months. Not anger, not relief, just peace. I wish that was the end of it. But people like Anna don't go quietly. 2 weeks later, a rumor started going around her office that I'd leaked the affair to HR out of spite, that I'd framed her. Someone clearly wanted to rewrite the story. Except this time, I didn't react emotionally. I reacted legally, because I'd been recording every interaction since the day she told me about her date. And the next move I made would end any doubt about who destroyed whom. Update 1.2 weeks. That's how long it took her to try to rewrite the story. 2 weeks after moving out, after the HR suspension, after Evan's wife filed for divorce, Anna started telling everyone, friends, family, co-workers, that I had set her up, that I'd hacked her accounts, forged screenshots, and contacted her company to destroy her career out of jealousy. It spread fast. Her sister called me, furious. Her mother sent me a 3-paragraph text about how disappointed she was in the man Anna married. I didn't respond. I didn't defend myself. I just took screenshots again. Every accusation, every lie, every attempt to play victim. Because I'd learned something during this whole mess. The truth doesn't need defending. It just needs documenting. A few days later, I got a call from her company's HR department. "Mr. Lawson," the voice said, "your wife, ex-wife, I suppose, has made serious claims about data theft and defamation. We're required to follow up." I told them calmly, "I have all the relevant evidence, and I'm more than willing to cooperate." They sounded skeptical at first, until I sent the folder. Not just the texts, but also the metadata timestamps, the synced iCloud backups, and this part made them go quiet. A copy of the recording from the night she told me about her date. I'd installed a small voice-activated recorder in our kitchen that week. After she'd started sneaking around, it captured everything. Her confession, her tone, my warnings, her defiance. When HR heard the part where she said, "It's not cheating if I'm honest about it," the silence on the line lasted nearly 10 seconds. "Thank you, Mr. Lawson," the rep finally said. "That's all we need." That should have been the end of it. But Anna wasn't done. A few nights later, my doorbell rang. It was her. Disheveled, angry, crying. "You destroyed everything," she shouted. "You sent them that recording. How could you?" I didn't open the screen door. I just said, "You destroyed it when you walked out that door. I warned you." She hit the door frame with her palm. "I lost my job. Evan's wife is suing him. You turned everyone against me." "No," I said evenly. "You turned yourself into a story. I just kept the receipts." She started sobbing again, saying she didn't mean for it to go that far, that she just wanted me to fight for her, that she thought maybe if I got jealous, we'd reconnect. The words barely registered. I just felt tired. Not angry, not vindicated, just done. "Anna," I said quietly, "jealousy isn't love, and manipulation isn't a test. You don't test loyalty by trying to break it." She stared at me like she didn't recognize the person speaking. Maybe she didn't. Maybe I'd stopped being the version of me she could control. 2 days later, her lawyer contacted mine. They wanted to negotiate amicably to avoid court. I agreed, on one condition, a written apology for the false accusations she'd spread. She resisted at first, said I was being cruel, vindictive. But when my lawyer presented the voice recordings, screenshots, and proof that she'd violated privacy laws by filming intimate texts on company devices, her tone changed. The apology arrived 2 days later. Cold, formal, typed by her lawyer. "I retract all previous statements made regarding Mr. Lawson's alleged misconduct or data theft. I accept responsibility for my actions and the personal consequences that followed." That piece of paper wasn't justice, but it was peace of mind. After that, things quieted down. She moved into a small apartment across town. Evan was fired. His wife filed for divorce and got majority custody of their 2 kids. Anna, from what I heard, was trying to find freelance work. Her old friend stopped answering her calls after realizing the truth. Our son, 16, didn't want to see her for a while. She kept trying to text him apologies, promises, explanations. I told him, "You don't owe her forgiveness. You owe yourself peace." He nodded. "She made her choice," he said simply. And that was the first time I realized how much he'd grown through all this. Last week, I saw her for the first time in months. It was at the grocery store. She was in sweatpants, hair tied back, no makeup, looking older somehow. Not physically, emotionally. She looked at me like she wanted to speak, then just said, "You really meant it, didn't you? When you said things would change." I nodded. "Yeah," I said. "Everything did." She smiled sadly. "I thought you'd come after me." "I did," I said. "Just not the way you expected." And with that, I walked away. That night, I deleted the folder. Every screenshot, every recording, every trace. Because I didn't need it anymore. It had done its job. But I couldn't shake one thought before I went to bed. She'd gone looking for something new because she thought the life we built was too quiet, too predictable, too safe. She found chaos instead. And I found peace in the silence she left behind. Final update that it's been almost 8 months since that night. Since the day she walked out our front door to go on a date and told me she just needed to figure things out. 8 months since the collapse. 8 months since I realized that sometimes endings don't come with explosions. They come with a door closing softly and the silence that follows. The divorce was finalized 6 weeks ago. It was quiet. No courtroom battles. No shouting, no revenge. Just paperwork, signatures, and two people who used to be everything to each other signing away a shared history with black ink on white paper. She didn't fight much. Her lawyer pushed for a bit more money at first, but she stopped arguing after a while. She looked tired, like someone who'd finally run out of fuel. At one point, during the final mediation, she said softly, "You won, Mark." I looked at her for a long moment before replying. "No, Anna. Nobody wins when they burn down their own house." After it was over, I took a week off work. My son and I went on a short trip, just the two of us. No lawyers, no tension, no half-truths hanging in the air. On the last night, we sat on a beach, watching the waves. He asked, "Do you think she'll ever come back?" I said maybe, but not to us. Maybe she'll come back to herself someday. He nodded, staring out at the water. Then he said something that hit me harder than I expected. "You were right that night, Dad. Everything did change. But not all of it was bad." He was right. We laughed more now, talked more, ate dinner without walking on eggshells. The house felt lighter, like it could breathe again. As for Anna, I still hear bits and pieces. A mutual friend told me she's working at a different company now, smaller place. She keeps to herself, doesn't post much online anymore. Deleted all her social media after the scandal at work. Sometimes, late at night, I catch myself wondering if she ever really thought it through. If she realized that she didn't just lose a marriage, she lost respect. Because that's the thing people never tell you about betrayal. It's not the act that breaks you. It's the slow decay of trust, the erosion of shared meaning. I don't hate her. I don't even resent her anymore. I just don't recognize her. A few weeks ago, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address, but the handwriting was familiar. Inside was a short letter. "I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect you to write back. I just want you to know that you were right. Everything changed, and I'm finally learning to live with what I did. Please tell our son I'm sorry, not for leaving, but for the way I did it." I thought love meant being chosen over and over, but I never realized it also means choosing to stay, even when it's boring, even when it's hard. I didn't just walk out on you. I walked out on who I was supposed to be. Take care of him. Take care of yourself. Anna. I folded the letter and put it in the drawer, not because I needed it, but because some ghosts deserve a quiet place to rest. People ask me sometimes how I knew not to blow up, not to scream, not to lose control when she told me she was going on that date. I tell them the truth. I didn't feel angry. I felt clarity. When someone shows you what they're capable of, you can either chase the old version of them or accept the new one. And I chose acceptance. That's what saved me. The house feels different now. There's more sunlight. My son's laughter echoes down the hall again. We fixed the old piano, started cooking new recipes on weekends. It's ordinary, and it's peaceful. Sometimes, that's all you really need. Not revenge, not justice, just the quiet realization that the worst thing someone did to you no longer controls you. The night she walked out, I warned her. If you walk out that door, everything will change. And I was right. Everything did. She lost her illusion. And I found my freedom.